Oh, baby, what's up? I don't know. That's a weird way to intro. All right, we're talking about open houses. So this is going to be really fun. I love open houses. They can be a huge benefit to your business. They're a benefit to your clients, but in my opinion, they're a bigger benefit for us as realtors. My mom is probably the one that I can think of that just makes an open house very successful and usually turns a client out of there or two or three. It just is unreal. I mean, with that much experience, of course, she's just trained that way and very successful or very open to the opportunity to meet new people. And so she just does really well. So without further ado, let's jump in and talk about open houses and what they provide for us. Okay, so I kind of went off of a timeline for your open house. I wanted to kind of lay out what it looked like, and I'll talk about principles at each avenue, hopefully. And hopefully by the end, you'll understand how to run your own open house. I'll give you some pros and cons, maybe some pro tips. Don't quote me on that. Just kidding. Let me get a little drink of coffee. I probably don't need any more, but it's so good. Okay, so timeline. Let's talk about you got your listing. Once you've locked up your listing and you're really starting to dial in on what your clients want you to do, how aggressive they want you to be, that type of thing. One of the biggest things that you really need to focus on is if your clients are even comfortable with an open house. So during that getting the listing process, and maybe just beyond that, of course, stepping into solidifying your open house schedule, really have that conversation with them. Like, how much open house do you want, or how many days of an open house will you give me? Things like that, right? So really prompt your client with questions so that you can understand what they want and how best to serve your client. At the end of the day, the open house is really there to make you feel confident in talking to people, confident in your process, confident in your marketing, and also to provide your clients with that ability, or not ability, but the opportunity to see you working for that commission. Sometimes, and especially right now, when we pick up a listing, it is very easy to just launch it on the MLS, set it, forget it, and get 4 or 5 offers without really even trying. So when your clients don't see the effort on your side, even though you know you're experienced, knowledge, you can make this look very easy. Open houses provide you that opportunity to really show them value added to the transaction and make you look awesome. So, okay, let's talk about solidifying your open house schedule. I know I'm kind of skipping around and talking a lot through each principle, but I want you to just, hopefully you can just get my rapid fire way. Okay, solidify your open house schedule with your client's approval, right? Maybe this is a conversation that you've had even before putting the listing up on the MLS, hopefully. I usually tend to have this conversation with every listing and every client, and it's pretty early on. I always try to tell them, hey, I love open houses. I want to run an open house. It is the easiest way for me to get a random buyer that just walks in with no representation and save the client some money, working on both sides. Of course, if you're not open to dual agency or you feel uncomfortable with it, I can always help you walk through that process. But for me, I love that opportunity to work with new random buyers. One, save my clients money. 2, I know that I can get the job done. 3, I'm working with myself on the other side, so there's no back and forth. Or the one that I run into quite frequently now is the buyer's agent is completely clueless on what to do, and I'm training them at the same time. And so it just gets really annoying. But that open house gives me the best opportunity to find somebody and cut out that other realtor. So that's a great thing for the open house. Okay, so this is the conversation that I have with my sellers on almost every sell, is that open houses are great. They do give us that time to get that random buyer, and I ask them how much time they're willing to give me. I tend to love a Thursday night open house, Friday night open house. Both of those are from 5 to 7. Depending on what season it is, sometimes we'll go a little later, like if it's mid-July, because the sunlight's still there till later. Of course, in the winter, it just gets worse. So it's harder to do an open house in the evening because nobody will show up when it's dark, or very limited people. So take that with a grain of salt. Gather what you want to do, get your marketing schedule and in line to what you want to provide your clients. So Thursday, Friday, 5 to 7. Saturday, I love to have an opportunity where I provide it to the team, where we have 2 shifts, usually from like 11 to 2 and maybe a 2 to 5, depending on how long the client will give us. But that gives 2 3-hour blocks so that I can provide the opportunity for new agents to come on board and host our open house for us. That just gives you more opportunity to talk to people, so it's really good. But if it's just me running it, I might do just 1 3-hour block on Saturday and let it rock. Sunday is really hit or miss. Of course, you guys know we're in Utah. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's like, wow, you held it right during church and nobody comes. So just take that with a grain of salt. Like I said, decide what you're going to do. The one that I like is usually like a Sunday, maybe noon to 3 or a 1 to 4 o'clock, something like that. Sometimes if you do 11 to 2, nobody shows up until 12:30 anyways, so you might as well just run it a little bit later. So that is the schedule that I like. Let me walk that back a little bit too, because if my clients are gone and the house is vacant, I love to kind of set up my mobile office and do almost like a full day 8-hour shift open house. It gives me the most time to have the most opportunity to walk in or have the walk-in random buyer. So I've done that several times in St. George, where I did like a 3 or 4 day open house with 8 to 10 hours each day. And 2 out of the 3 times I found the unrepresented buyer, and it was awesome. Okay, get your plan. Yep, that's enough about schedule. Come up with your schedule. Come up with things that work for you. Okay, plan your signs. I usually like to go to Google Maps and say, okay, where are the busy artery roads where I can bring in traffic? Put my signs there. Sometimes if you have a really weird home that's like stuffed into a neighborhood way in the back, it gets hard. You'll have like 5 or 6 signs and it just gets kind of crazy. When you have those situations, do the best you can, but advertise on Facebook or social media or on your Google My Business to bring in the traffic that they can just type in the address and just show up. That'd be great. So plan your signs out. Order your signs, get them all ready, right? You should already have these signs and have already figured out what you want to do. Okay, plan your attack. What I mean by planning your attack is decide how you're running your open house. Are you going to have cookies? Are you going to have snacks to give out? Are you going to have booty covers? Are you going to have gloves? Are you going to have a mask? Are you having things that you're handing out? What swag are you going to hand out? Do you have any promotional items? Stuff like that. Do you have flyers? Are you going to do a digital flyer? Are you going to have hand sanitizer? All of these things, and probably 100 more ideas of what to put into an open house, you need to have thought about so that you can decide, wow, this really works, or wow, that was terrible. So planning your attack really is, what am I doing during the open house? Am I just sitting around waiting for people to come? Am I marketing? Am I giving away flyers, promotional items, whatever, right? As you guys know, right now in the middle of the pandemic, maybe you're not handing out cookies. Maybe you're pumping hand sanitizer onto everybody's hands. So there's so many things that can change, and had I made this video a year ago, I would have never mentioned any of those things. So everything changes. Our market changes rapidly. So you really need to plan your attack and figure out how you want to promote that listing and have the potential to pick up that random buyer. All right, host your open house. Run with all those plans that you just came up with. Run your open house and see what works, right? Sometimes I've had this in the past before. I've shown up with like one less sign, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I can't even get traffic to the house. So then you're just like, well, I'll try to put signs out and hopefully they come, but it just depends. So sometimes it goes bad. Make sure that you just have that plan that you can follow, and if it goes to crap, like some stuff does, so you'll figure it out. All right, tear down your signs, of course. Get all your stuff from the house, like flyers and promotional items, whatever. Or if it's a vacant home, leave your stuff there, right? Me in particular, and with my mom, one of the listings we did that was up in Syracuse, I had a small table that I left at the home for the entire listing. It had our sign on it that talked about removing their shoes to put booty covers on, and then I always had a bunch of promotional items on the table. Wristbands, some wooden chips, my poker chips, business cards. It was just laying there, right? Anybody that walked through, they had an agent that was with them, but I would always go up there and check on how much promotional items were gone. It was a ton. We had a great opportunity to just give out promotional items, and those people might not be our client today, but they could be in a year. You never know. So the tear down part, you might tear it down because they live there and you have to take everything home. But if it's a vacant listing, see if you can leave up all your stuff, and that would be awesome. Of course, not your directional signs and things like that, but anything in the home, that would be nice. Okay, and then follow-up. Follow-up's one of my favorite things, right? And follow-up could include sitting down and really going, okay, I printed out flyers. I had 5, and they were gone in the first 15 minutes. Well, that might not have been enough. Or counterintuitive to that, or the counter flip side to that is I printed 100 flyers and only like 2 walked out the door. I have a funny story about that. So I started like doing a professional flyer, and I'd print like 50 or 100 of them and have them in like a little plastic thing that sat on the kitchen counter. I don't know why, but not that many people take that flyer for whatever reason. So it was like $20 for flyers, and then they just didn't go anywhere. So kind of a waste. So that's just one of the things. Maybe just not do that, or see if you can make it so that people like that. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to say on the follow-up side, evaluate each thing you did, and if it was great and added value, sweet. If not, cut it. Follow-up also entails following up with your clients. Give them the feedback that they want to hear, right? And I don't mean that by sugarcoating it or anything like that, but what I mean is let them know, hey, we had an open house. It was successful. We had 10 walkthroughs. It was great. Or, hey, we had an open house and we had 1 walkthrough, and they didn't love the house. So based on that traffic, you might want to reevaluate the price or the pictures or something online's not matching up. I've had in the past many a times where I held an open house and had no walkthrough traffic. It just happens. Either the home wasn't great, the location wasn't great, I didn't advertise it well enough, or it was just a crappy day, or the weather sucked, or whatever. Give that feedback to your clients. Like, hey, I held the house open for 3 hours and no walkthroughs whatsoever. We may have to adjust or address something that's with the house. You never know. Anyway, that's part of the follow-up. Okay, that's it that I can think about on open houses. They are, like I said, a great opportunity for you to get that random buyer. So really plan your attack around gathering information, right? Getting your client's information or getting that random person's information. Or giving them your information. That's like next best thing. Stuff like that. So plan your attack, learn what you want to do, have your open houses, and then follow up and evaluate which things worked and which things were like, we don't want to do that. All right, this has been another training video all about open houses. I'm excited that you guys are going to start running your own. I'm excited to help you run your own, and I'm excited to give you opportunity to help run ours. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. Text me, call me. I'm always available. You guys know that. All right, we'll see you later.